This is a safety operations on the sensitive type drill press. What's rule number 1?
Keep hands clear of moving parts.
Keep hands clear of moving parts. We might have noticed by now that's rule number 1 for almost every single machine. So when you're doing your safety test, keep that in mind. You know what I mean? Keep your hands clear of moving parts. That's going to keep you safe. The 2 main rules I always say to keep you safe are keep your hands clear of moving parts and make sure your workpiece is clamped securely. You'll find out soon what rule number 2 is of the drill press, but let's go with rule number 1 first. Keep hands clear of moving parts. So, we look at the drill press here. Where are the moving parts? Very simple. The moving parts are right here. There's nothing else that moves. Up inside here there's a bunch of moving parts, but they're all covered with a case. So all you need to do is make sure you keep your hands clear of this. And an easy way to do that is to bring the guard in front, so that way if you do move your hands in, the guard takes care of it all. A quick mention, in your notes, I may have changed it by the time that you're going to watch this video, but it doesn't say always use guards in the rules. So you can use that on your safety test today or tomorrow whenever we do it, always use guards. So if you guys understand that tomorrow, when you write your safety test or today, you can write always use guards. Any machine that has guards, so for example this one and any one that we look at from here on in, if they have guards, use that as a safety rule even if we didn't write it down on our sheets. By then I probably will have changed it for your group that's watching this video. Okay, what's the next rule?
Be sure workpiece is clamped securely.
Okay, so once again, make sure your workpiece is clamped securely. We have a really nice vise here that opens and closes by moving it back and forth like this. It's called a cam lock vise. It's a very expensive vise. Very nice vise. You put your workpiece in here like this. You tamp this closed, and then all you do is you bring this down like that, and now that workpiece is clamped securely in there. Once again, you do what's called the budge test. You make sure it's clamped. You always should check it to make sure it's clamped, because if it wasn't, and if I didn't put this down, we'll say, and I went like this, right away you're going to find out that the workpiece is not clamped securely. So once again, put it in, tamp it up, lock it down, check it. Good. Rule number 3.
Never leave the chuck key in the chuck.
Okay, so right here we have the chuck key. This is new terminology for some people. This is the drill chuck. This is the drill chuck key. It's just like a key for your house. It unlocks the chuck, and then you can take the drill bit out. So when you put this in here like this, you turn it like so, and then the drill bit comes out. So when you put a new drill bit in, and you tighten it up like this, you need to make sure that you never leave the chuck key in the chuck. Because if I did, and I turn this on, this is going to come flying out and possibly hit somebody, and you'll end up in the hospital. This thing here can fly very quickly across the shop. So a good way to make sure that we never leave it in the chuck is to never take your hand off it when you're using it. So as you use it, you know, you're going to take it in and out. Never take your hand off it. So for example, don't take your drill bit out, go to grab your next drill bit, bring your other drill bit over and put it in. You should just always, as you take it out like this, get your next drill bit, bring your next drill bit in, and then tighten it in like that. Okay, never leave the chuck key in the chuck. Rule number 4.
Never handle drill chips with your hands, always use a brush.
Okay, so we talked about brushes. Every time we're going to use the drill chips, they look really cool. You're going to think, wow, look at this thing. It's this big stringy long chip. I don't have one to show you now. They come long. They look like a little slinky. Never grab them with your hands. They're hot. They're sharp. They're like a razor blade. So just use the brush to clean them all off at the end of the day. Never grab them with your hands. Rule number 5.
Never attempt to stop drill chuck with your hands.
Okay, so as you're slowing the drill chuck down at the end of the day, don't get your hands in here. You might notice, guys, that I'm wearing a watch and a ring right now. This is against general safety rules. I shouldn't have these on. For purpose of this demonstration, though, we're just going to keep going. I should have these things off right now. But as the drill chuck stops, don't try and stop it with your hand. There's no reason to do that. A couple years ago, we did a timed stop, and it actually cuts like 0.7 of a second off. There's no reason to grab it with your hands. Just shut it off and wait for it to stop. Rule number 6.
Never hold work by your hand. Always use a table stop, vise, or clamp.
Okay, so I'm gonna first of all point out what a table stop, a vise, and a clamp is. Carter, grab me that. There's a C-clamp back there. You'll find it in a second. This, we talked about it. This is the vise right here. Okay, so we can use a vise to hold our workpiece. We could use a clamp. You could essentially take your piece, put it on here, and we could put a clamp on there and clamp it down with a clamp. You probably need a bigger one than this, but we could clamp it down with that. Or you can use what's called the table stop. So if the vise was off and you were using, this is called a table stop right here. If this piece was longer, you could use the table stop to keep it from spinning, and then you wouldn't have to hold it. If you hold your work by hand, I'm not sure whether you can see this or not, but I've got little scars on my hands right here from holding workpiece by hand when I used to work in the trade. I used to try and hold thin work pieces like this when I worked in the trade, and I would hold it down like this with my hand and I would drill through it. A huge no-no, because what happens is the piece will start to spin and then it just will slice your hand like it did to me. Just a side note, when actually you go to drill through thin material like this, you should always have a piece of wood underneath of it and clamp it to that if you're going to drill through thin material. That's not a safety rule, just a quick little trade tip for you. Okay, rule number 7.
Never attempt to grab, spin, and work. Shut off machine and stand back.
Okay, so sometimes, guys, as we go to drill through our work pieces, we're drilling through, and all of a sudden when you hit the bottom, sometimes it gets caught, and then you'll pull it up because it's caught, and then you'll pull the whole work piece out with it. It'll be stuck to the bottom of the drill bit, and it will actually be spinning around like a helicopter as fast as the drill goes. If that happens, what you're supposed to do is quickly shut it off and step back, because you don't want to be near the machine. At that time, if you have some people that are over here, you want to say to these people, step back, guys, look out, and then they'll take a step back. Take a step back. Perfect. And everybody will stand back clear of it, wait for it to stop, call the teacher over, and we'll get it off there, because I don't want you taking a hammer and trying to smash it off there. We'll get it off there nice and proper, make sure everything's good. What's next?
Never set speeds or adjust work while machine is on.
Okay, so we're not setting the speeds, we're not adjusting our work. If you're drilling a hole, I don't know whether you can see this on the camera, there's little crosshairs on here. So if you're drilling a hole like this, and you can't reach this hole right here because you can't get to it, I don't even want you to I want you to shut it off before you even do any adjustments like this. This should never be running as you're doing adjustments. So you shut it off, you move it to where it's got to go, and then you go about your work. No getting your hands near here, no doing any adjustments or anything until the drill is stopped. Rule number 9.
Never change speeds while main power is on to machine.
Okay, unplug it, turn the power right off. So you can see this here, when I shut this off, there's no power to the drill bit. However, for some strange reason, if you're up inside here changing the speed, somebody could come by and turn this on. This is a good little demonstration here too, just to kind of show you how to change the speeds. So when you're changing the speeds, you're going to remove this screw here, and you're going to raise this. Never let this thing flip and flop. Just make sure you put it up here nice and slow like that. You can see up in here is where you change the speeds on the belts. If you point to this right here, you'll see the different speeds that you can set it at. Back up to here right now, if I was up in here and somehow, Nelson, can you press the green button? If the green, and then turn it off as soon as it comes on. You can see how this is all spinning. That is major danger right now. So what you gotta do is you need to shut this off here, which is the main power. Each machine in the shop has a box like this with a switch. Now Nelson, hit the power button now. See, nothing happens. So while you're up in here changing the speeds, you want to make sure the main power is shut off to the machine. Okay, I'm going to close this back down. Once again, we never let anything slam. I don't know if you guys got those fancy toilet seats at home that you just drop down and they don't slam, but I don't. So at my house, we don't slam the toilet seats the same way we don't slam the guards. We don't slam the tops of the machines. We don't slam anything around here. We make sure we put it down nice and soft so that it doesn't do any damage to the machines. Once you're done, you can turn it back on and you're good to go. Rule number 10.
Ease up on pressure when drill bit is about to break through your workpiece.
Okay, so as you're drilling through your workpiece, you're gonna be drilling, you're gonna be pulling down fairly hard to get through the material. Also, as we drill through steel, we're always going to use, what, Carter? As we drill through steel, we always have to use
A clamp?
a little bit of
Oh, coolant.
coolant. We always have to use coolant when we drill through steel. Not a safety rule, just letting you know, when you drill through wood, you don't have to use coolant, but every time you drill through steel, you have to. So as we're drilling through, we're gonna be squirting some coolant on and we're gonna be pulling it down really hard. As you get down to the bottom of the workpiece, you're gonna notice it's gonna make a funny noise and you're gonna start to see some steam come out. So it's gonna kind of go, and then it's gonna go like this when it hits the bottom. And you're gonna hear a noise like that. It's gonna start to ease up. You need to ease up on the pressure so that you're not pulling through really hard, because if you are, one of two things gonna happen. You're gonna slam your arm down onto here, or the drill bit's gonna get caught on the workpiece. So ease up on the pressure. It's almost like you have to really just go through with your fingertip on the very end of it. You barely have to do anything at all. And then it'll go break through and everything will be solid. Okay, do I have any questions on the sensitive tight drill press?